Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 20th class, to our 20th class of this intermediate English course. Please confirm if you can hear me, if I am coming through okay.
Yes,
Good evening.
teacher.
Good evening.
Okay. So, good evening, Jennifer, Janely, Camila, Edward, y Joangel Gomez. Okay, guys, already in our 20th class. We're almost at the end of the second module of the intermediate English course. Okay, so before we begin, as always, we're going to start with the list of the verbs that we are going to study this week. Again, 15 more verbs. 15 more verbs. And now, after that, we're going to study unit number 11. It's going to be a pretty easy unit. This won't be like the present perfect unit that had a lot of topics and was a little bit more complicated. This is going to be pretty easy. This unit and the unit after this one are going to be really, really easy. Things get interesting in unit 13, 14 again. Okay, so these are the verbs that you are going to study for this week. We are going to study the verbs in blue, highlighted in blue. We have spoil, spread, spring, stand, steal, stick, sting, stink. They're not the same. Stick, sting, stink. Stride, strike, swear, sweat, sweep, swell, swim. Okay? So we have a spoil, spoiled, or spoiled. Spread, spread, spread. Spring, sprang, sprung. Stand, stood, stood. Steal, stole, stolen. Stick, stuck, stuck. Sting, stunk, stung. Stink, stank, stunk, or stunk. Stride, strode, striding. Strike, struck, struck. Swear, swore, sworn. Sweat, sweat. Sweat. Sweep, swept, swept. Swell, swelled, swollen. And swim, swum, swum. Okay, so these are the verbs that you are going to study for this week. Okay, we're almost at the end of the irregular verbs. Let me check. Yes. Oh, wow. Next week will be the last week of the irregular verbs. That's good. Okay, so next week you're going to have 20 verbs, which are the last verbs. After that, we're going to work with the regular verbs. And after that, we're going to work with the phrasal verbs and the English idioms. So it's going to be pretty cool. Tell me, Joancal.
Sorry, teacher. I don't know if it's only me, but I don't look the presentation or the bird.
Oh my god, you are right. Sorry, I wasn't sharing my screen. Oh my god. This is so embarrassing. I was speaking to myself.
Thank you.
Thanks to you, actually. Okay, guys, so this is what I was reading. Sorry. Okay, so these are the verbs. The one highlighted in blue are the ones that we're going to study, okay? Tell me, Joanjo.
I have the one equation because in Spanish uno dice yo no estoy mirando tu pantalla, but in English the same.
We say, I can't see the screen, or I don't see the presentation. Okay, no, no veo tu presentación. I don't see the presentation. O no veo la presentación. I don't see the presentation. Or you can ask, are you sharing your screen because I can't see anything? No puedo ver nada. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So, as I was saying, guys, we are at the end. I'm a little surprised because that was fast. I don't know if you felt it like that, but for me, this was really fast. So this week we're going to study this in blue. In our next class next week on Tuesday, I'm gonna give you the ones in green, dark green, which are going to be 20 in total because are the last ones. But after that, we're going to jump into the regular verbs. And these are pretty short. 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, we deal with all the regular verbs. But after that, again, I don't want to repeat myself too much. We're going to work with the phrasal verbs. Not too many of them, just a few to get an idea of how they are, how we use them in English. And after that, we're going to work with the English idioms, which is going to be the longest one between the phrasal verbs and the English idioms. I am normally inclined to dedicate more time to the English idioms because they help us so much to express things in a easy way, and they're easy to remember. And Americans use them a lot, so it's a win-win. Okay, it's a win-win. With that being said, and without further ado, let's begin with tonight's class. Okay, we have two readings, two conversations, and we have the article for tonight. Okay, so the unit is unit number 11. It's a unit about adjectives. Remember that in the intro book, we studied something about adjectives, but now we're going to use more complex adjectives, which is good. So the title is It's a Really Nice City. Describe hometowns, cities, and countries, and make recommendations about places to visit. So here we have our first word power, adjectives to describe places. Okay? Adjectives. So here we have beautiful, cheap, clean, interesting, quiet, relaxing, safe, spacious, boring, crowded, dangerous, expensive, noisy, polluted, stressful, and ugly. So we have to match column A with column B. We have to match column A with column B. So in this case, we have to identify which is the opposite, right? So here we have, oh wow, it got frozen again. Okay, now it comes out. Okay. So we have to find the opposite. So what is the opposite of beautiful? We need to look at here. Tell me, Joan, what is the opposite of beautiful?
Ugly.
Ugly, right? Yeah, pretty easy. So the same thing with cheap, with clean, with interesting, with quiet, with relaxing, with safe, and spacious, okay? So in our next class, we're going to check that out, okay? This is our first homework. Okay, so let's start with our reading. We have here 6 people, so 3 pairs, right? Who is going to begin? We have here Ron, and not the alcohol, and Camilla. Okay, Joangel Gomez. Who is going to join Joangel Gomez for the reading? Okay, Edward Gando. So Joangel is going to read Ron's part, and Edward is going to read Camilla's part.
Okay. That photo is really cool. Where is that?
On a beach near my house in Punta Cana, in Dominican Republic.
It looks so relaxing. I have heard the area is really beautiful.
Yeah, it it is. The weather is great under a summer fantastic beach. The water is really clean too.
Is it expensive there?
Well, it's no shade. Those springs for tourists can be pretty reasonable.
And how far is from Santo Domingo?
It's not too far from the capital. Habito- Ahí me fui con los 200.
200 kilometers. 200.
200.
200.
Okay. And little over what to 120 meters.
A little over 120 miles.
Miles. Yeah.
It sounds very interesting. I should plan a trip three sometime.
Okay. Okay, very well. Edward, this word here is prices. Prices.
Jesus.
Yes.
Okay.
Prices. This one is reasonable, right? Reasonable.
No tenía los lentes, pensé que decía Prince.
Okay, it's okay. So prices and reasonable. Okay, who is going to continue with the reading? Nobody else? Angela? Are you going to read, Angela? Okay, Angela is going to read. Janelle, are you going to read, Janelle? Okay. So Angela is going to read Ron's part and Janelle is going to read Camila's part.
That photo is really cool. Where is that?
That beach near my house is Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic.
It looks so relaxing. I have heard the area is really beautiful.
Yeah, it is. The weather is great, and there are some fantastic beaches. The water is really clear too.
It is expensive there.
Well, it's not cheap, but price for tourists can be pretty reasonable
Prices, but prices. Prices.
prices.
And how far is it from Santo Domingo?
It's not too far from the capital, about 100 kilometers, a little over. Teacher, ¿cómo se dice 120 en inglés?
120.
¿Cómo?
120.
120
20 miles.
miles.
Uh, it sounds very interesting. I should plan a trip there sometime.
Sometime. Okay. Well done. Okay. Remember this word, prices, guys. Prices. And this one is clear. The water is really clear too. Clear. Okay. So Camila and Jennifer, are you going to read?
Okay, teacher.
Okay, Camila. Camila, are you there, Camila? Okay. So Camila is going to read Ron's part and Jennifer is going to read Camila's part. Let's go. Jennifer, you start with Ron's part.
Ok, bueno, pensé que era Camila, ok. Yo soy Ron, entonces.
Yeah, Ron's part and Camila's is going to read. Oh, wow, I think I did it backward, but it's okay. So, yeah, read Ron's part and Camila's is going to read Camila's. Camila's. Okay.
Okay. That photo is really cool. Where is that?
Camila, we can't hear you, Camila. Camila, if you want, you can try leaving the session and logging in again because we can't hear you. Okay. So, Jennifer, give me 1 second. Let me see. Who wants to read? Okay, she answered. Her microphone isn't working. Okay, who wants to join Jennifer and help her with the reading of the
Ella
ones?
escribió en el problema con el micrófono.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that she has some problems, some issues with her microphone. Okay, Angela, could you read along with Jennifer?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so read Camila's part, Angela.
That beach near my house in Punta Cana, in the Dominican Republic.
It looks so really. I live here. The area is really beautiful.
It is. The water is fantastic, fantastic beaches. The water is.
Angela, we can't hear you, okay? You're breaking up a lot.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, now. Now it's clear.
All right. Yeah, it is. The weather is great, and there are some fantastic beaches. Beaches. The water is really clear too.
Is it expensive there?
Well, it's not cheap. 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 Cheap.
Cheap.
Good prices for tourists can be pretty reasonable.
Reasonable.
Mm. And how far is it from Santo Domingo?
It's not too far from the capital, but 200 kilometers and a little over 120 miles.
It sounds very interesting. It should plan a trip there sometime.
Okay. Muy bien. Very well, guys. Okay, so here we have that photo is really cool. Where is that? Right? Where is that? That's a beach near my house in Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. It looks so relaxing. I've heard the area is really beautiful. Yeah, it is. The weather is great and there are some fantastic beaches. The water is really clear too. Is it expensive there? Well, it's not cheap, but prices for tourists can be pretty reasonable. And how far is it from Santo Domingo? It's not too far from the capital, about 200 kilometers, a little over 120 miles. It sounds very interesting. I should plan a trip there sometime. Remember, guys, that sometime without the S and sometimes are different, okay? Remember that we talked about that. Okay, so let's start with our first grammar focus, okay? Let's work with our new presentation. The urban explorers grammar guide. Okay? So, we're talking about adjectives here. So, scaling the intensity of your descriptions. Adjectives, guys, alone are flat. Okay, what flat means? This is flat. Son planos. Los adjetivos solo son planos. Okay? We use adverbs to give precise information about the scale and intensity of those adjectives. Okay, so it's not the same to say beautiful than to say very beautiful. It's not the same to say ugly to say very ugly. So ugly tells me something. But when you use an adverb like pretty, ugly, or very ugly, or really ugly, for me, as a listener, it's better to understand precisely what are you saying because you are using an intensifier. So it's not only that it's ugly, it's that it's very, very ugly. So you get an idea about the description or the object or the person or the place that that person is describing at that moment. Okay, so we use the adverbs to add intensity to our adjectives to be more precise about what we are describing. Okay, so we have here the adverbs like very, really, too, very big, really nice, too noisy. So these adverbs, they add intensity to these adjectives. So this is normally the structure. Adverbs come first and then we have the adjective. So we don't say big very, nice really, noisy too, unless we're using too in a different way or really in a different way. Okay? Because we know that to can be after, but it is in a different context. It doesn't mean the same thing. It's not like an intensifier. Okay, so here you have like a graphic to understand the intensity spectrum. Okay, so we have here the adverb intensity dial. So here, the lowest part, we say fairly somewhat to something low or a little. It's fairly expensive, which means that it's not that expensive. It's a little expensive. So we say fairly expensive or somewhat, which basically mean the same. We can use either fairly or somewhat, okay, for a little expensive. Or fairly somewhat beautiful, which means a little beautiful, okay? Then we have pretty. Pretty has a medium intensity, okay? So pretty expensive is more than fairly expensive. It means more. For example, it's pretty big. It's not like huge, but it's big, okay? And it has it has a dimension that is bigger than what normally means big. We have here a strong for very and really. So here, very and really are adverbs that are stronger than pretty and fairly or somewhat. Okay? Punta Cana is really nice. So it's not the same to say Punta Cana is fairly nice or to say Punta Cana is pretty nice as to say Punta Cana is really nice. Really, it's more than pretty and it's more than fairly. And the last one, the highest part in the intensity spectrum is extremely. Okay? Extremely something. The weather is extremely hot. So the person is trying to say that the weather is really, 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 really hot. It's extremely hot. So it's maybe difficult to be there, or it can be kind of intense to be there. In this case, to be being here in the DR for a foreign person can be difficult if that person is used to a different weather condition, like lower weather conditions. Okay, so we have fairly and somewhat, the lowest part. So we have different intensities. Punta Cana is somewhat nice. Punta Cana is pretty nice. Punta Cana is very or really nice. Or Punta Cana is extremely nice. Extremely, the highest end. Somewhat fairly, the lowest end. Okay? You get that? The idea of the adverbs, is that clear? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's continue. Okay, let's look at two for a moment. Crossing the two threshold. A common structural failure is treating to as a synonym for very. It is not a complement. It is an indicator of a problem. Remember that we normally use to in a negative context. So, for example, this city is very big. This is an observation. A normal description. Oh, this city is very big. Okay. But if I say this city is too big, I am saying that that is a problem. Because when I use to, I'm talking about normally something with negative consequences. For example, this city is too crowded. Okay? Problem. I don't like it. Okay? So it's not the same to say this city is very crowded. This city is pretty crowded. I'm just saying that we have a lot of people. Okay? Not necessarily that that thing, that situation affects me in any way. But when I say, oh my God, this city is too crowded, for some reason, that is a problem to me. I don't like it. Okay? Or if I say, the city is too noisy, that's a problem. Okay? So every time you see to before an adjective, normally it's because the person is talking about a negative consequence. Okay? It could be personal. It doesn't have to be objective. Normally it isn't. But the idea is that it's normally negative. Like, for example, too friendly. Okay, Joangel is too friendly. Friendly is a good trait in a person. But when someone said too friendly, that friendliness, it's a problem. Okay? New York is too noisy. It's a problem more than necessary. So normally when we use to, we're talking about a problem or talking about something that is more than necessary, which means that we would like less of that. Okay, so those are the adverbs that we have right here. Do you have any questions regarding that? Is that clear? Is that clear?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, very well, guys. Okay, so first homework. Match the questions with the answers, then practice the conversation with a partner. Okay, so here you have questions, and you have to identify which of these answer is the correct one. You have only one option. Okay, here you don't have more than two options or more than one option. you only have one option. So only one is the correct answer. Second homework. Third homework. Here you have to choose the adjective. Okay, you have 3 adjectives below. You have to choose one. The one that you think fits best in this description. Number 3. Number 4. Choose the correct questions to complete this conversation. Here you have 4 questions and you have to choose the correct one. They are already there. You only have to choose for homework. Okay, second grammar focus. We're going to study 3 tonight. This is the second one. Conjunctions, but they're pretty easy as you can see. Okay, let's talk a little bit about conjunctions. Remember the conjunctions and but. Okay, we're going to learn two new for today. Though and however. Okay, so we have but. Remember but? Okay, we normally use but to make a contrast. When we want to make a contrast between 2 sentences. For example, Boston is big, but it's not too big. Okay? So I'm going to use a simple rule to explain you this. But, though, and however, they all mean the same. Okay? We translate them in Spanish in different way. For example, but, espero, though, es sin embargo, o aunque, y however, es sin embargo. Okay? But the idea is the same. They represent contrast in a sentence. Every time you see them, something is being contrasted. Okay? So, what is the difference? But is standard and direct, so it's more common. But though is more casual, conversational. And this is the tricky part. Don't forget this. Though normally goes at the end. For example, it's a big city. It's not too big though. Though at the end. So Americans like to speak like this. It's more casual. So it's not too radical, not too direct, the contrast that you're making. Okay? And last but not least, we have however. However is the formal form of the contrast. Okay, it's a big city. It's not too big, however. However, at the end. We normally see however here in the middle of the sentence. It's a big city, however, it's not too big. But we can also use however at the end of the sentence. Although, though is more common. Okay? So, let's make an example. I live here, but I don't like it. I live here, but I don't like it. Okay, I have 2 sentences and I have a contrast. Okay, now with though. I live here, I don't like it though. I live here, I don't like it though. I am expressing the same idea. But here, I am using though, which is more casual. Okay? So Americans use it a lot. Though at the end. Now with however. I live here. I don't like it, however. I don't know if you notice that the intonation of the sentence of these sentences are different. So when I use but, I say I live here, but I don't like it. But when I use though, I say I live here, I don't like it though. You see how the intonation goes down? I don't like it though. I don't like it though. Okay? That's normally how Americans say it. Okay? I don't like it though. because you're going to use something at the end. So you have to make like an intonation. I don't like it though. Okay? But the idea is, guys, that however, though, and but mean practically the same. But you have to remember something. But always goes in the middle. I live here, but I don't like it. But is in the middle always. But though and however can be at the end of a sentence. Something else. Do not confuse though with although. Although is a formal expression and normally goes at the beginning of a sentence. Okay? Is that clear, guys? Do you have any questions regarding the conjunctions? Is that clear?
Más o menos.
Más o menos.
Más o menos, teacher.
Ok. Les voy a dar una capsulita, ¿verdad? Para que no quiero que se me queden con la duda, en todo caso. Estamos viendo conjunciones, chicos, de contraste. But, though y however significan lo mismo. En el sentido de que los tres se utilizan para contrastar algo. El ejemplo que le puse, yo vivo aquí, pero no me gusta. Yo estoy contrastando dos oraciones. Yo vivo aquí, pero no me gusta. I live here, but I don't like it. Yo puedo decir esa misma oración con though. I live here, I don't like it though. Yo vivo aquí, pero no me gusta. En español, aunque though estaba al final, yo normalmente en la traducción, para que tenga sentido para mí, lo voy a colocar donde siempre lo uso. Pero, ¿ok? Porque es en inglés que está al final. En español lo seguimos usando en el medio. Yo vivo aquí, pero no me gusta. Y si hiciera la oración con however, I live here, I don't like it, however. Vivo aquí, sin embargo, no me gusta. Yo podría decir, no vivo aquí, no me gusta, sin embargo, pero eso no es común, ¿ok? Eso no suena bien. No es tan común eso. Nosotros normalmente lo colocamos a la mitad de la oración. Entonces, cuando usted traduce, usted sigue sus reglas de su gramática y omite las demás. Aunque en inglés está al final, para nosotros va en el medio. La idea es que las tres, yo hice un contraste. Vivo aquí, pero. Vivo aquí, pero. Vivo aquí, sin embargo, no me gusta. Dígame yo, Ángel.
Okay, teacher, I had the one confused.
Okay.
Because it's obligatory do you use does. For example, this example do you say, I live here but don't like it. In this example, do you have the two options, but and does, right?
And though.
Though, exactly. But give me one example, the you use obligatory does.
Though.
Those.
Okay, so you don't have an obligation, okay? The word is an obligation. You don't have an obligation to use any of them. You use whichever you like, depending on context. Tú no tienes una obligación para usar ninguna de ellas. Tú vas a usar la que encaje en el contexto. But es la que más se usa, es la más rápida, es la más común. Pero cuando tú estás en el mundo de los Estados Unidos y tú estás en una conversación casual, tú vas a escuchar mucho though. No es porque era obligatoriamente que vamos a usar though, sino que es como cuando tú quieres como generar un contraste, pero que no sea un impacto sobre la otra persona. Si no es lo mismo yo decirle, para un americano, no es lo mismo yo decirle, I live here, but I don't like it, que decirle, I live here, I don't like it though. Sí, la segunda opción con el though al final, él lo recibe como más suave. ¿Sí? Que decir, pero. Vamos a poner el ejemplo, por ejemplo, con el español. Cuando yo estoy hablando con alguien, aquí voy a adelantar, ¿verdad? Pero cuando uno está hablando con alguien y uno está corrigiendo o dando una orientación y no quiere sonar duro, uno evita decir la palabra pero y la cambia por sin embargo. Es decir, en estrategias de coaching, cuando tú estás coachando a alguien y tú le vas a una crítica, tú no puedes hacer una crítica que lo destruyas. Tú vas a suavizar el consejo. Hay un problema, pero tú tienes que saber cómo va a ser ese problema para que la otra persona no se sienta mal o no se te bloquee. Porque de que tú dices pero, la otra persona se bloqueó. Pero, valga la redundancia, si tú le dices sin embargo, ya la gente le baja porque no es común escuchar sin embargo. Y ya como que más fácil lo recibe. Es el asunto con though. Es como esa sensación de, ok, más suave. Pero tú puedes usar en las mismas oraciones cualquiera de las tres. Ahora bien, el but es el más común, el though es mucho más casual y el however es el tipo de contraste que tú utilizas en una empresa. Cuando tú estás en un ambiente formal, cuando tú estás escribiendo un correo, tú usas however. Es más, cuando tú estás tomando los exámenes de nivel, te ponen a escribir una carta. Y esa carta, ellos identifican tu nivel de inglés dependiendo de si tú utilizas bot. Si yo te pongo a ti a hacer un ejercicio y tú me utilizaste bot, ya yo sé en qué nivel tú estás. Pero si yo te pongo a hacer un ejercicio y en vez de usar bot, usaste however y although o yet como elemento de contraste, eso me dice a mí que tu nivel de inglés está elevado. Porque estás utilizando referencias del lenguaje que son más avanzadas. ¿Se entendió eso ahí?
Yes, teacher. Thank you.
Okay. So, Angela, you're good to go now, right? Okay, so and, which is the last conjunction, ¿verdad? Y, ustedes saben cómo es. We use and when we have two similar ideas. I like coffee and milk, right? Two similar ideas. Because I like coffee and I also like milk. So I say I like coffee and milk. Okay? Simple. Okay, so let's continue. More homework. Here we have to choose the correct conjunctions and rewrite the sentences. So they give us here two conjunctions. We have to choose one of them. Okay? Only one is correct. So we have to choose the conjunction and place the conjunction in its proper place. As you can see here, only 1 second. Let me go back. The conjunction and goes at the middle. The conjunction but goes at the middle after the comma. But the conjunction though and however go at the end. They go at the end. Don't forget that. Okay? So let's continue with more homework. Okay? Another homework, again, is the same idea. You have to use one of the two conjunctions that we have in parentheses. It's to practice the same thing that I just mentioned, guys. So more exercises, more practice, you learn it better. Okay? Let's continue. Okay, this is a simple exercise too. Here we have to choose where to place the article. So I'm going to explain this in Spanish because it's going to be easier for you to get. Ok, aquí tenemos este pequeño ejercicio que parece que no tiene nada que ver con lo que hemos estado hablando, pero sí tiene que ver. Déjenme explicarles una reglita básica de inglés que es importante que tomen en cuenta. Bien, tenemos el artículo indefinido a or an. Ustedes lo conocen, lo vimos al principio. Bueno, sabemos que utilizamos estos artículos indefinidos dependiendo de si inicia con vocal o consonante. Eso lo sabemos, ¿verdad? Ahora bien, ¿qué sucede cuando yo tengo un adverbio? ¿Qué rayón? ¿Verdad? ¿Qué rayón? Cuando yo tengo un adverbio, un adjetivo y luego un sustantivo. ¿Ok? ¿Qué tengo aquí? Cuando tengo el adverbio, el adjetivo y luego el sustantivo, fíjense que voy a utilizar el artículo indefinido. It has a fairly, con la misma regla que ya conocíamos, it has a fairly no part. Recordad que usamos el a cuando inicia con consonante y el en cuando inicia con vocal, etc. Bien, entonces, cuando yo tengo un sustantivo en la oración, escuchen bien, un sustantivo en la oración, aunque aquí aparezca el adjetivo y luego aparezca aquí el adverbio, yo voy a utilizar el artículo indefinido porque tengo un sustantivo. Lo mismo sucede aquí. It's an old city. Tengo el adjetivo y aquí tengo el sustantivo. Eso me obliga a utilizar un artículo indefinido aquí antes del adjetivo. Entonces utilizo artículos indefinidos delante de un adverbio o un adjetivo cuando la palabra final que está modificando esos adverbios y adjetivos es un sustantivo o es un sustantivo, ¿verdad? Como aquí y aquí. Ahora, ¿qué pasa? Cuando yo no tengo en una estructura ese sustantivo como aquí, it's fairly new, donde tengo adverbios, adjetivo, o aquí it's old, donde solamente tengo el adjetivo, no utilizo artículo indefinido. No utilizo artículo indefinido, ¿ok? Porque ya no es uno ni una. ¿Ok? Lo que es uno y una es el parque, la ciudad. Pero aquí solamente tengo es bastante nuevo o algo nuevo. Y aquí tengo es viejo, pero no dice el qué. Así que no necesito artículo indefinido. ¿Ok? Entonces, tomando eso en cuenta, vamos a agregar aquí dónde iría el artículo indefinido en cada una de esas oraciones, según la regla que les acabo de explicar. ¿Ok? De todas formas, está ahí también. Es bien sencillo. Ok, vamos a continuar. Ok. Bien. Luego tenemos este listening, describing hometowns. Describing hometowns. Aquí simplemente tenemos que, here we only have to select, here we only have to select the correct option. So we have to listen to Abby and Christopher talk about their hometowns. What do they say about them? Choose the correct words. So here we have Abby's hometown and Christopher's hometown. Okay, so we have to select fairly or not very large town, somewhat or extremely beautiful, or pretty or very cheap. We will choose based on the audio. At the end, we have to choose one option, another option. For example, here it says, listen again, write another adverb you hear them use to describe their hometowns. At the end, they use another adverb that is not listed here, and we have to put it right here. The same thing happens here. They are going to mention another adverb to describe their hometown, and we have to add it right here, okay? So you have to identify it. But it's going to be pretty simple because it's either somewhat, fairly, pretty, very, really, or extremely. One of those. Okay. So here we have 6 world's famous landmarks. Hitos. 6 world famous landmarks. Like the Grand Canyon, the Louvre, Paris, France, the pyramids, the Colosseum, Sugarloaf Mountain, and the Taj Mahal, right? Interesting places, historic places. Okay, now is your time to read, guys. Who is going to begin with the conversation? What should I do there? What should I do there? Okay, Joangel, who else is going to read? Who else? Okay, so Angela. Okay, so Joankel is going to read Jason's part, and Angela is going to read Claudia's part. Let's begin.
Okay. Can you tell me a little about Mexico City?
Sure. What would you like to know?
Well, I am going to be there for 5 days the next month. What will I do there?
Oh, you should definitely visit the National Museum of Anthropology. It's amazing.
Okay, it's on my list now. Anything else?
You shouldn't miss the Diego Rivera murals. They're incredible. Oh, and you can walk around the History Center.
That sounds perfect. What about the food? What will I eat?
You can't miss the street food, the tacos, barbecues, fruit. It's all delicious.
Okay, very well. It's all delicious. Delicious. Okay, so let's continue. Edward, who else is going to read? With Edward, who else is going to read? Okay, Jennifer. Okay, Edward,
So don't.
Jennifer. Edward is going to read Jason's part. Jennifer is going to read Claudia's part.
Okay, come on. Can you tell me a little about Mexico City?
Sure. What would you like to know?
Well, I am going to be 3 4 day next month. What should I do there?
Oh, you sure definitely but visit the National Museum of Anthropology, It magazine.
Okay, it's my list. No, I think all.
You should not miss the Diego Rivera murals. They are incredible. Oh, and you can't walk around the history center.
Mm,
Edward?
sorry. Sound perfect. And what about food? What song I eat?
You can not miss the street food and tacos, barbecued fruit, and all delicious.
Muy bien, muy bien.
Delicious.
This word here is definitely. Definitely. Okay, there's a movie I think called Definitely. Maybe I don't remember right now, but I think there's one that rhymes with definitely. Okay, somebody else is going to read. Someone else is going to read. No one else is going to read. What a bummer. Okay, so here we have what should I do there? Should, right? Can you tell me a little about Mexican City? Sorry, can you tell me a little about Mexico City? Sure. What would you like to know? Well, I'm going to be there for a few days next month. What should I do there? Oh, you should definitely visit the National Museum of Anthropology. It's amazing. Okay, it's on my list now. Anything else? Anthropology? Definitely. You shouldn't miss the Diego Rivera murals. They're incredible. Oh, and you can walk around the historic center or the historic center. That sounds perfect. And what about the food? What should I eat? You can't miss the street food. The tacos, barbecue, fruit, it's all delicious. Okay? It's all delicious. Remember, guys, we have to practice a lot to get better at pronunciating. Okay, so the last grammar focus, it's about can and should. Okay, all of these grammar focus are in the same unit, okay? I didn't add any grammar focus from another unit. So, but this is pretty simple, as the other ones were. So the functional signage, modal verbs. So modals are special verbs that act as modifiers. They establish the rules of the road, highlighting what is possible and what is recommended. Okay? For example, you can walk around the city. You should visit the museum. So remember, guys, this is a basic rule. Modal verbs connect directly to the base verb. The syntax explicitly rejects the preposition to. So you never say you can to go. Never. Okay? We only say you can go without the to. We don't use you can to go, but you can go. Remember, modal verbs don't use to between them. We go from modal verb to base form verb. That's it. Okay, so pretty simple. Can is unlocking possibility. Declares what is available or physically possible. Okay, so we're talking about something that you can do, something that is possible, algo que es posible, algo que puedes hacer. For example, you can try street food. Okay, that's something you can do. You can't miss the street food. That's something you can't miss, which means it's very important. Okay, but these are not suggestions. Okay, these are or an ability like this one. You can try street food, something that you can do, or urgent necessity that you have. In this case, I want you to try this so you can't miss it. Es como decir, oye, no te puedes perder esa película. You can't miss it. No te la puedes perder. Es una necesidad urgente. But we have also should. Should offers expert advice or strong recommendations. Okay? For example, you should see the murals. Okay? A recommendation. That is my recommendation. This is not a possibility. This is a recommendation. So if you say you can see the murals, you're saying that that person can do that action, which is see the murals. Okay? It's a possibility. It's not a recommendation. But if I say you should, that's coming from me. I am the one recommending that. I want you to do that. And I am making a recommendation. You should see the murals. That comes from me. You shouldn't miss this place. This is a warning. You shouldn't miss this place. Tú no deberías de perderte este lugar. You shouldn't. Okay? Because it is good for you. Okay? So basically, guys, we use can when there is a possibility to do something, and we use should when we are making a recommendation to someone. Okay? That's it. Entonces usamos can para hablar de que algo es posible. Oye, tú puedes. Y usamos should para hacer una recomendación. No son iguales. No es lo mismo yo decir tú puedes a tú deberías. Si yo le digo a alguien, oye, tú puedes cruzar la calle, es una habilidad. Oye, tú lo puedes hacer. Eso no significa que yo lo esté recomendando. Tú lo puedes hacer. ¿Ok? Como cuando tu papá te dice, ¿verdad? Tú puedes salir, pero yo no te lo recomiendo. ¿Verdad? La posibilidad, you can go out, but you shouldn't. Tú puedes salir, pero no deberías. ¿Ok? Una cosa es una posibilidad, que es salir. Ahora, mi recomendación, lo que viene de mí, lo que yo creo es que no deberías. ¿Ok? En la consulta se da mucho eso. Hay cosas que yo le digo al paciente, usted puede, pero yo no se lo recomiendo. Su habilidad para hacer X acción, como por ejemplo con el alcohol, me dice, ¿cuántas copas me puedo tomar? Yo le digo 0, porque el equivalente de salud en alcohol es 0. No hay un grado, no que un 1%, no que una copa, todo eso es mentira, es 0. Ok. Entonces, el paciente me dice, yo quiero, usted puede, pero mi recomendación es que no lo haga. Ahora, si lo hace porque usted puede, usted es un ente adulto, puede tomar decisiones, mi recomendación ahí sería tal cosa, pero lo que yo le recomiendo de mí al 100% es que no lo haga. Ahora, si lo quiere hacer, usted puede hacerlo. Trate de no pasarse. ¿Sí se entiende? Entonces una cosa es una posibilidad y otra cosa es una recomendación. We use can for possibility and we use should for recommendations. ¿Se entendió eso ahí? ¿Alguna duda con respecto a eso? Dígame, Camila. A ver, que el micrófono no le funciona a Camila. Me acordé ya. Ok, guys. Entonces hemos visto adverbios, vimos conjunciones y ahora acabamos de ver la diferencia entre can y should. Grábense eso porque lo vamos a volver a ver. We're going to see them again. Okay, so I'm going to leave 2 more homeworks, I think, and we're going to do the reading in our next class because we don't have enough time, and I think that the persons responsible of the text aren't here. I think Jennifer is here, but I think I'm missing 2 participants for the reading. Okay, so homework. So this one, you have to use can or can't, should or shouldn't. Remember, you have to identify when they're talking about possibility and when they are talking about recommendations. This is the first one. And here, you have to choose from the box which of these expression is the correct one. This is easier, okay? This is easier. Okay, you look at the sentence and you choose one of these options from over here, right? And last, another listening. So we have this listening. Where should you go? We're giving recommendations. Where should you go? Here, you have to identify the country in the listening, the largest city from the listening, and what is the recommendation that visitors should see or do in that place. Vamos a identificar el país, la ciudad más grande que se menciona en el audio y qué los visitantes deberían ver o hacer de acuerdo al audio. ¿Ok? Bien nutrido para el jueves, ¿verdad? Ustedes saben cómo es. Por eso lo dejamos descansar de jueves en adelante. Y este texto que lo tenemos pendiente lo vamos a terminar ya vamos a hacer ya el jueves, ¿ok? Para que estén los que me deben lectura, que no están. Me falta, Jennifer está, pero me faltan creo que 2 más. Bien, chicos, entonces ahí están todas las tareas. Parece ser mucho, pero no lo es realmente. Y todos los temas son bien cortitos. Lo que pasa es que había que explicar algunos detalles de cada uno de ellos y también estábamos con las conversaciones. Recuerden, chicos, que hay que, aparte de hacer las prácticas, cuando no estamos en clase, usted debe de practicar. ¿Ok? En la primera parte del curso vimos mucho avance en las pronunciaciones de algunas palabras. Seguimos viendo avance, pero no estamos percibiendo el mismo avance que teníamos al principio. ¿Ok? Seguimos avanzando, pero no al mismo ritmo. Porque normalmente cuando el curso ya se encuentra en este punto, la gente, pues, aparecen otras cosas, los participantes se empiezan a cansar un poco, aparecen ocupaciones, etcétera, y uno como que va dejando de lado ya el proceso. Les hago este comentario para animarlos a que retomen esa llama, esa pasión por lo que vinieron al curso, ¿ok? Hay que seguir escuchando. Esas conversaciones que yo les mando el audio es para que ustedes las practiquen, para que a ustedes les salgan perfecto. Y en conmemoración a eso, me voy a poner una soga al cuello, porque me lo va a complicar para mí, pero necesito empujarlos a ustedes más. Tengo que empujarlos. Como la madre en el nido que suelta al polluelo para que o flote o se hunda. Pero una de las dos tiene que hacer. Les estoy preparando una práctica final cuando vayamos a pasar del módulo intermedio al avanzado, que va a requerir que usted ponga a prueba el conocimiento que hasta ahora usted ha adquirido. Posiblemente involucre una cámara, involucre un video y va a llevar una evaluación estricta de su pronunciación, de su estructuración. ¿Ok? Así que déle seguimiento a la pronunciación y en las próximas semanas, los próximos días, les voy a estar diciendo, pero ya yo les estoy dando una pista: involucrará cámara, involucrará video, involucrará subir video y se le va a hacer una evaluación auditiva de, pero también visual, ¿verdad? Auditiva, visual, eh, de su pronunciación, principalmente auditiva, ¿verdad? Porque la parte visual no se va a valorar, pero auditiva, pero va a ser grabado, porque usted se va a ver en el video y se va a escuchar hablando en inglés. No sé si ya lo ha hecho, pero lo vamos a hacer. Entonces, no le bajen, anímense a seguir, porque luego, créanme, lo pueden anotar, les pasa factura, ¿ok? Les pasa factura y luego dice, wow, debí, y no nos podemos pasar la vida entera en debí, no hice. Haga, haga. El otro día, y con eso termino, no les quito más tiempo. El lunes estábamos en una clase presencial y me topé con un ex alumno que también volvió a tomar ese curso, tomó el curso de la academia y él tiene una competencia, él está en una competencia de bartender en la World Class, que es la competencia número 1 del mundo de bartenders, ¿verdad que sí? Y él reflexionaba de que él sabía que tenía que hacer muchas cosas, pero no estaba haciendo ninguna. Y tenía el temor de fallar en la competencia y saber que él pudo haber ganado, pero que cuando debió hacer algo, no lo hizo. Y yo le pregunté, ¿qué estás esperando? Sí, ¿qué tú estás esperando que suceda? Si ya tú sabes que tienes que hacer algo y no lo estás haciendo, y tú sabes que si no lo haces, posiblemente vas a perder, y te vas a sentir mal porque no dice el 100%, ¿qué estás esperando para dar el 100% ya? Entonces, usted puede decidir vivir del lamento de lo que pudo haber sido y no fue, o de lo que sí hice y me siento satisfecho porque di el 100%. ¿Ok? Eso es lo que le digo con el curso de inglés. Bien, chicos. Les mando las fotos en un ratito. Y nada, have a really good night and see you again on Thursday at 8 p.m. Goodbye, good night.